facts and falsehood. Every leading personality runs the risk of being misinterpreted and criticized. Mahatma Gandhi had been enmeshed in controversies ever since he put his hand to the racial politics of Natal in South Africa and until he was assassinated. There have always been critics who have viewed Gandhi's approach as naive, utopian, escapist, negative, and irrelevant. Critics hardly considered the fact that Gandhi lived and expressed his philosophy through his actions and his writings. As he was a practical idealist, he never did or said or wrote that he had not practiced. And he also never expected another person to do anything which the man did not believe in. Mahatma Gandhi was essentially a dynamic person who went through an evolutionary process of change in his life. His policy was never static. He once said, "I am not at all concerned with appearing to be consistent. In my search after truth, I have discarded many ideas and learned many new things. Old as I am in age, I have no feeling that I have ceased to grow inwardly or that my growth will stop at dissolution of the flesh." Gandhi often learned from his critics, changing, improving, and modifying his position time to time. He modified action in accordance with his expanding view of truth. His character lay in his refusal to change unless convinced. Some of his critics also learned from Gandhi. Among those personalities, Narendra Deva, Subhash Chandra Bose, and B.R. Ambedkar reassessed their position during Gandhi's lifetime. Others like Jinnah did so later to some extent. Gandhi recorded his contradiction with any personality without expressing any wrath. But in some cases, his contradiction with some personalities were subjects of public discussion. Relation of Subhash Chandra Bose with Gandhi was more complex than that of a mere critic. Gandhi and Bose, two worthy sons of Mother India, were legendary personalities, gigantic in their political, moral, and ethical stature. Their dream was to free India from the British. They differed in the means they wanted to adopt. Young Bose, deeply influenced by the Russian revolt and rise of Japanese empire, was a firebrand nationalist who believed in the tradition of Tilak and Aurobindo. Gandhi, on the contrary, belonged to the tradition of discussion and talks with British like his mentor Gokhale and Tagore. Bose was a left-oriented leader. Gandhi had a moralistic approach towards nation building. The biggest divergence was about India's stand with respect to world politics. Gandhi had a moralistic stand of opposing the Nazi regime. Bose, on the contrary, was more pragmatic and wanted to work with Germany and Japan to destabilize the British. He was not adverse to the idea of violence for independence. He was a deep believer in aggressive nationalism. But Gandhi never subscribed to the principle that the end justified the means. To him, the means were as important as the ends. In his words, they say, "Means are after all means." I would say, means are after all everything. As the means, so the end. There is no wall of separation between means and end. Gandhi used the tools of satyagraha and non-violence to mobilize the masses, as he believed that only mass participation could bring the British. In 1939, Bose was elected president of the Indian National Congress by defeating Pattabhi Sitaramaiah, who was supported by Gandhi himself. That was the first time in the past 2 decades that Gandhi's authority had been challenged with the Indian National Congress. When Gandhi started his anti-untouchability program on a nationwide scale in 1913, that was not supported by Bose. Despite many contradictions, the relationship between them was marked by deep love, affection, and respect towards each other. Bose admired Gandhi and called him Bapu. He also hailed Gandhi as the greatest Indian who aroused the mass movement. Bose broadcast from Southeast Asia often invoked Gandhi's name and sought his blessings for the struggle. It was in the 40s that Bose addressed Gandhi as the father of nation in a broadcast from Azad Hind Radio on 6th July 1944. Obliviously delighted at the Quit India movement, Bose said in his Azad Hind Radio message from Berlin on Gandhi's birthday in 1943 that the service which Mahatma Gandhi has rendered to India and to the cause of India's freedom is so unique and unparalleled that his name will be written in gold in our national history for all.